So, during the last episode, we discussed food deserts and how access to food is shaped by where you live and even the color of your skin. But there is more to this puzzle. See, part of what we talk about when we say access to food also includes the time it takes to prepare a meal. For a higher income family who works traditional hours, cooking up dinner might not require a second thought, but for a busy, working class family which doesn't live near a grocery store, the preparation aspect presents a challenge. Processed foods, like the chips and candy found at convenience stores, take zero prep and are also incredibly cheap. They offer a readily available source of calories for low cost and little effort, and that's hard for fruits and vegetables to compete with. But why are these foods so inexpensive? After all, an apple goes through much less processing than a bag of Chex Mix. Shouldn't it cost less? Well, that's where the story gets a little complicated. Let's start by asking, what are the main ingredients in packaged foods? Check the bag of your nearest snack item, and I'll bet you one of the first ingredients is either 1, corn, or 2, wheat. Was I right? How did I know? It's because corn and wheat are two of the most heavily subsidized crops in the United States. Corn in particular is a major cash crop in the U.S. In 2010, America's farmers produced 32% of the world's corn supply. Why then aren't our dinner plates adorned with bright yellow cobs at every meal? It's because the corn is modified to make other products, namely corn syrup and cornstarch. In Michael Pollan's 2006 book, The Omnivore's Dilemma, an entire chapter is dedicated to what I will refer to here as the corn-to-product pipeline. The phenomenon involves 4 steps: heavy government subsidies, resulting in the artificial cheapening of the subsidized crops, development of cheap food products, such as high fructose corn syrup, and 4th, mass consumption of these products. So let's talk about the first piece of the puzzle, subsidy. Agricultural subsidies come mostly in the form of crop insurance. To sum it up, we pay farmers to grow corn, and as a result, they can grow a ton of it for a super low price. At that point, good old American innovation kicks in, and corporations see an opportunity to produce ingredients for their products at a much lower cost. A primary example of this is corn syrup. Corn syrup is much cheaper than sugar, so it is more commonly used in packaged foods. The problem with corn syrup is that the human body processes fructose, as in high fructose corn syrup, differently than it does glucose. Glucose triggers the pancreas to release insulin, which suppresses the appetite. Fructose, however, is processed only in the liver, so no insulin is released. As a result, people are more likely to habitually overindulge in high fructose corn syrup sweetened products. And let's not forget that corporations manufacture these products to taste good, filling them with the perfect ratio of fat and sweetness. Some researchers have even concluded that these foods are physiologically addictive. In fact, a 2017 study noted that highly processed foods, such as pizza and chocolate, appear to be most related to an indicator of addictive-like eating, including symptoms such as a loss of control. So, if subsidies result in cheap corn and wheat, which results in widespread availability of these ingredients, wouldn't it make sense to subsidize healthy food instead? In fact, why don't we subsidize spinach or blueberries? Well, let's start by taking a look at how these subsidies work. Much of the subsidy farmers receive is in the form of crop insurance. This insurance is designed to protect farmers if their crops fail or if the market value is low. In reality, however, it guarantees a high price for crops. The USDA pays 62% of these insurance premiums on average, and most farmers actually make money this way. According to the Congressional Budget Office, farmers received $65 billion more in claims than they paid in premiums during the year 2000. And again, we are not talking about fruits and vegetables here. Between 1995 and 2010, about $170 billion was spent on financing the production of corn, soybeans, wheat, rice, sorghum, dairy, and livestock. So, this is a massive amount of money going to crop insurance. But that's okay, right? I mean, our tax dollars are going to protect family farms. And this free market intervention is really just our government looking out for the little guy. Unfortunately, that's not what's happening at all. According to the Environmental Working Group, 71% of farm subsidies go to the top 10% of beneficiaries, almost all of which are large-scale factory farms. In fact, many billionaires have been the recipients of farm subsidies. Between 1995 and 2014, 50 people on the Forbes 400 list of wealthiest Americans received money from farm subsidies. The current agricultural legislation does not work in favor of small farms. It only serves to widen the gap between the richest people in our country and those struggling to make ends meet. So, why is our agricultural policy set up in such a nonsensical fashion? We give wealthy farmers money that they don't need to grow food that's bad for us. Well, it may have something to do with, you guessed it, campaign finance. In 2017 and 2018, more than 500 groups and companies hired lobbyists to advocate for the Farm Bill, making it the fourth most lobbied bill in the 115th Congress. Furthermore, in the 2018 election, crop producers gave $11.5 million in campaign contributions. When corporations and agribusiness organizations donate massive amounts of money to politicians, they expect the politicians to work on their behalf, i.e., here's some money to run for Congress. Now, when you get elected, we expect you to vote on the Farm Bill in a way that benefits us. Ultimately, what we're witnessing is food policy bought and paid for by massive farming corporations. Our legislators are not thinking about how these policies will affect people. They're keeping in mind where their campaign funding will come from in the next election. I think I've made it pretty clear why the U.S. food policy is so dysfunctional. It's corrupt. It maintains wealth inequality in our country, and it is making the American people sick. So, what can we do? What power do you and I have over politicians, massive corporations, and big ag? I have some ideas. Keep an eye out for episode 3, where I will propose some potential solutions to our broken food system.